Yeah, seems like the month of March has just flown by. Maybe the NCAA tournament has had something to do with that. We're going to have a note about NCAA Final Four tickets in Houston that have dropped dramatically with the 4 schools that are there, and also because 2 schools who are left, one in Houston, the Cougars, and also one just maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours away in Austin, Texas, both out, and what that has done. TV ratings, news on the tournament. And if I was to ask you which of these 2 networks would have had the higher ranked games on Friday, CBS or TBS, in your head, what would you have said? We'll have that note as well. Good friend of ours may be on the verge of being a head coach back in college basketball. A lot of things to get to, and we start with this one. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, I'm David Smoak. Thank you for being here. Bob Thompson, by the way, former Fox Sports executive, will join us today at 5 o'clock, Mac Rhodes at 4:20. So, when Miami made their run at the end of the game to beat Texas, the ticket prices for the Final Four dropped over $100 because of the proximity of Houston already out from that game Friday to also Miami beating Texas. For example, when Houston was still in the mix, tickets were selling for $229 on Ticketmaster, $250 on StubHub. Houston eliminated, but Texas remaining, the ticket prices were $175 and $215. By Monday morning, ticket prices were as low as $100 on Ticketmaster and $122 on StubHub.
Well, one of the risks you run when you have schools that are smaller fan bases and you're playing this at NRG, right? So you've got a massive venue that you can fill, but now because of the glory that is the NCAA tournament, you've got, 3 schools that for sure have smaller fan bases, and Miami is one of them. I know that they're a popular football brand, and everybody knows about Miami, but it's not a very big school. It doesn't have a gigantic alumni base. UConn probably has a bigger fan base than everybody altogether because they're a legit national champion blue blood over a long period of time. But Florida Atlantic and San Diego State are not only that, every single school is a long, long way away, as opposed to Houston, which is a stone's throw from NRG Stadium in the same town, obviously, and Austin, which is 3 hours.
It's the single least expensive ticket to the Final Four since 2014, according to Ticket IQ.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, they're dealing with small fan bases and fan bases that aren't in the state of Texas. So I don't think that there's really anything, more scientific than that behind it. You're dealing with smaller schools from farther away, and they're just naturally not going to be as much demand for, the venue as there would be if there was, like you said, a team from the city itself, a city of several million people, or a team from, just a little ways away in Austin, a city of a couple million plus people. So, yeah, I mean, it's part of the deal. I mentioned this on the podcast earlier today. I saw some pundit talking about the TV ratings are going to be awful for the national championship and for the Final Four. I don't know why, unless you're in the sports TV industry, you would give a dadgum about the ratings as far as like them being bad. I talk about them during college football season and highlight the most heavily watched games just to give you an idea of, what games are drawing the most eyeballs. But I don't really care, past, if there's not a certain amount of people watching a game that I watched and I found it to be a great game, it doesn't bother me that only 450,000 people watched it. I watched it and I enjoyed it. That's how I'm going to be with this Final Four. Some people need the big team to grab their eyeballs and watch. Some people need that draw, and then some people just are going to watch regardless, and that's typically me as far as a national championship game in men's basketball goes. So, I'd imagine there's a lot of lost interest in a variety of lanes when it comes to this game, but, make the best of it that you can. These 4 teams sure aren't complaining about the fact that they won't have the highest ticket price sold ever or whatever the ratings might be. They're just trying to win a national championship.
Yep, and there they are. They're on the edge of doing that. And again, a lot of the ticket prices mentioned, StubHub, Ticketmaster, whatever, NCAA.com, a lot of them also have to do with where the seats are because NRG has like 4 or 5 different levels of seating. Now, speaking of television, the games on Friday, the NCAA regional semifinals, San Diego State's upset of the favorite in Alabama. And then 15 seed Princeton's lost to Creighton, averaged 4.5 and 4.37 million viewers respectively, both up 71% from a year ago. Providence, Kansas, Iowa State, Miami. Ratings were not immediately available, but that's the note that was here. Also, this is from Paulson, that the viewership soared at least 2/3 for all of the 4 Sweet 16 games on TBS, but the numbers on CBS were down like 40%, including having someone like Houston or Texas Xavier, they were down. What would that be like, TBS with the, I guess maybe Alabama got a lot of views because everyone's watching them with the story surrounding them as well. But that's kind of interesting that CBS's numbers were down, including the game between Miami, Houston, and Xavier, and also Texas.
Yeah, that is kind of strange, but maybe there's just more interest over there. And
then that Xavier game was just a ugly basketball game,
Yeah.
and you could tell that Texas most likely was going to handle that. And, of course, we thought that against Miami, too, and that wasn't the case. So those are the numbers from CBS and also TBS. Now,